Mike Bohn joined now by the UFC 291 headliner fighting for the BMF title July 29th against Justin Gaethje. It is Dustin Poirier. Dustin, tickets go on sale for the event today, so make sure everyone looks out for those. And then I know you just got down to Florida, right? So how's the first couple days been?
Yeah, it's been great, man. Jumped right into work, bro. I got here Friday, and today is Wednesday. So I've been here a few days working, man.
Yeah. So what's like, I know you're always training, you have your gym back in Louisiana and stuff. What's the first thing you do when you walk in to American Top Team? Like, is it sit down with Mike Thomas or Mike Brown and Dia Davis and kind of figure out where you're at? Do they watch you train first and then like see where it goes from there? What's kind of the first few things you do?
Usually we meet up. This time, my flight got delayed, so I got in late on Friday night. I went in Saturday morning and trained, and then we all met on Sunday afternoon, watched fight footage, wrote some notes down, kind of started planning what we want to do with the travel and what we want to do with the training camp for the first few weeks, and took it from there. But we always do that. I get with my guys and we sit down and kind of break apart their last few fights of my opponent, my last few fights, and just catch up.
So obviously you mentioned the last few fights. That's not really your first fight with Justin, isn't really part of that. It's a number of fights ago for both of you. So did you watch that one like first, or does that come later?
That came last. We watched me and Justin last.
Okay. So what were your takeaways from that fight when you watched it back?
For sure. After going to watch his Fiziev fight was the one before the last one, and then watching our fight in 2018, he has changed. I see fans and stuff saying it's a different Justin. He has. He's a lot more moving laterally. He's using his jab better, his defense better. He's not sitting in one place with his high guard as much. He's doing a lot of things different.
And he said that fight, he had the two losses, right? First to Eddie Alvarez and then to you. And he said after the one to you, like that's when he really had to reevaluate with the team and figure out those changes that we're kind of seeing in the past few fights. Does that kind of give you maybe almost an inherent advantage here? Like knowing me beating this guy kind of made him change things up?
No, if I wouldn't have beat him that night, if he'd have fought someone else and won, I mean, it's just the nature of what we do. You have to get better. We fought 5 years ago, so the people around him are world champions, and he's training with good guys. His coach is very intelligent, so he would have had to evolve to stay at the top, which he has. It's just part of the game. I'm sure in the loss he saw some things that he really needed to tighten up right away, but he would have got better as we both have.
I think a lot of people forget in that fight, he had a point deducted for eye pokes too, right? Like when that happened, do you remember how much did that impact? Obviously you finished him like, I think a round or two after that. So maybe not too much, but do you remember how much that impacted you in the fight?
I think he got me one time because I just saw it. Then I think Herb Dean warned him on another one, and then he got me again. And the last one was pretty good, I was blurry for a second. I was trying to get them to not bring the doctor in so we can keep fighting. But it got me good for a second, but it was clear.
Yeah. Is that something you tell the referee in this next fight, whoever it may be going in there, be like, hey, this happened last time, be on the lookout?
It could have just been us clashing. I mean, I'm not sure I don't think he got any warnings in the Fiziev fight. It's not like it's a common thing with him. I don't think. It was just we were crashing into each other, trying to bang each other up, and things happen, with the small gloves. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah, of course. No, it's just, you never know, right? And those things, how it impacts you. But I always remember talking to you before that first fight with him, and you have like the famous quote, which I always recite when talking about other fighters, when it's just going to be, it's going to be like a battle. You said you feel like you're going to have to leave a piece of yourself in there with Justin Gaethje. And that's what ended up happening. It was the fight of the year. So going into this one, like, is it the same mindset, or do you think about it differently now?
Of course, in my mind, I want it to be smooth, and I want to be the matador, and I want to show that I am a better striker, and my movement and my defense is getting better over these years. But at the same time, I know what this is. It's a very violent matchup. It's a very violent fight, and adversity will present itself again. I know that, but knowing that helps me make that walk. I feel, everybody's mental is different, but I know I'm going to have to dig down. Like I said in the previous fight, there's going to be a time where I'm going to be sitting on that stool, hurting, bleeding, and I'm going to have to get up and go back out there and get to work. And that's just the mindset of this whole camp for me that I'm going to keep going off of.
Yeah, people are always going to bring up the first fight, right? But like knowing that with this same person, whatever changes he's made, you've been through those moments and you came through them as the winner. Does that change the confidence like at all, or do you have to leave all of that behind?
It's a completely new fight. It's a brand new fight. We're both different. We both learned and had our wins and had our losses. It's a different fight. If we're the same people we were in 2018, we wasted 5 years. We're both better. We're both more dangerous. He's invested in his shield. His defense is better. His footwork is better, and we're both more mature. It's just what it is, man. It's a very high level fight. I'm just excited to see if he's going to wrestle more, if he's going to kickbox with me again. What's going to happen? We got 25 minutes to do it.
Yeah, and you've done the rematch thing a lot now at this point in the UFC, and you've been very successful in these moments. This is his first one at this level. He had one in WSOF against Luis Palomino, but that was ages ago at this point. What do you take away from just your experience in rematches now? I know you said it's a new fight, but there must be something to that, knowing what to take away from the first fight and bringing it into a second.
There is. It's a mindset. It's fuel to the fire. I've been in his position before, where you've had to wait a long time to get one back, and how much it means. Conor beat me in 2014. I didn't fight him. Like 7 years later, I fought the guy. I had to sit on that loss for that long. So in camp, that really motivated me to defeat this man. And I'm sure Justin is going to use that as well. So I'm expecting the best Justin Gaethje that's ever been out there. But with that same thing, I know what he's going through mentally, the hunger to get this win back, and I'm prepared for it, man. I'm going to beat him again.
Yeah, and I remember he's wanted this one for a while. I remember him saying, like, at the media day before he fought Edson Barboza, he's like, I'm going to win this fight, then I want the Dustin Poirier rematch. And he's said it time and time again. What would you say, is there a relationship between you and Justin? He seemed, in the few interviews he's done, he seemed very respectful. The only thing he's really said is he knocked me out and it's my turn to, give that back to him, which is what he would obviously say.
Right. I've been around him a few times since we fought, and it's been great. He's a good dude, solid guy. Seems like an honest dude. We've shaken hands every time. We sat by each other for a fight in Las Vegas not that long ago. I ran into him in New York as well before I fought Chandler. So it's respect going in there. But when that door locks and that bell rings, it's war again.
Yeah, and as far as towards the fight, you always do the charity goal, right? For every event coming up. Do you have anything yet? I know it's still kind of fresh. Do you have anything on the books yet of what you want to do for this camp and the charity goal for this fight?
So the money we raise from this fight, I need to set a goal. We haven't done that yet, but at the same time, we have the backpack back to school giveaway we do every year. It's been our annual thing. So the fight kind of falling right here. The funds from selling everything, won't be there in time. So, but we've raised money with the foundation over the years, auctioning things off and crowdfunding. So we have money to do this backpack giveaway. We will do at the beginning of August. So I think August 2nd or August 3rd. We're going to set it up. More info from the foundation will be out about the pickup location and the date. But we're going to do at least 1,500 backpacks filled with school supplies for the year for Lafayette, Louisiana. And like I said, all the info for pickup we'll put out as soon as we get it. But we're in the process of getting all that stuff done. It's a lot of hands-on because we pack all the backpacks ourselves and break down all the boxes of binders and notebooks and stuff. So it's just a lot of time to put in. And I have a good team back home because I'm here in training camp that are going to receive all the packages, start getting things ready. And as soon as I get off the plane, after this fight, when I get back to Louisiana, man, we got to get this stuff done because we only have a few days to get it ready. Right. But for this fight, I'll announce something for this fight kit. Of course, I'm going to auction this fight kit off, and I'll announce a goal to align with the fight kit as well. Yeah, and I feel like it kind of started this whole charity goal thing around the first fight. It might have been like one or two fights afterwards. No, it was that camp. It was that fight. Wow. Yeah. So to kind of look on what's happened from then until now on that front, how do you feel about where the charity is and where it's heading towards and more things you want to do with it going forward? I mean, we've already done in a short time more things than I thought we were going to do. The foundation's really grown. Other fighters have got on board and auctioned off their stuff with us. And it's incredible, man. We've got a great group of people in Louisiana who helped me get all these things done. And of course, all the fight fans auctioning it, buying the auction stuff and crowdfunding when we set goals. It's been incredible. Every goal that we've set, we've crushed it. And I'm going to continue to do that.
Yeah, and this fight, July 29th, this is like shaping up to be one of the biggest combat sports nights of the summer, right? Like we have Terence Crawford and Errol Spence on the same night as you. When you heard that, were you, I know you're such a big boxing fan, were you like bummed out being like, man, I can't sit at home and watch this? Or are you feeling like it's
Of
going to bring even
course,
more attention, right? Because everyone's going to be at home watching fights that night.
we'll see. I don't know if it's going to affect pay-per-view or whatnot, but I think real fight fans might buy both. You know, the BMF belt's on the line. Last time the BMF belt was on the line, Canelo was fighting. So I had a fight party at my house, and we got both the fights, you know, and turned it into a big fight night event. So we'll see what happens. But I'm kind of upset I'm not going to be able to watch that live, man. I'm a huge boxing fan, and to me, this is a super fight.
Yeah, who do you think wins?
Oh man, that's a tough one, bro. I'm going with Crawford.
Yeah, it's hard to predict. Yeah, and it was crazy that first fight. Like when they did the first BMF one, they like delayed Canelo's fight. Remember that? He was like sitting in the back waiting
Yeah,
for them to wrap out the main event. That's
yeah.
pretty wild, man. Well, I guess speaking of the BMF title, what was your reaction? I guess when they mentioned this coming on, like I think Justin had said in an interview, you guys were talking about doing this fight. He said he actually wanted August, like 3 rounds in Boston, and then they kind of upped the stakes with like a pay-per-view main event and this putting on it. Was that kind of the same process you had? Did you always, or do you always want like a 5-round main event for this?
I mean, 5 rounds is opportunity to give and take more damage, you know. So 25 minutes is a long time to fight when it's this style of any fight, but especially this style of fight where we're going to try to bust each other up good. It is what it is, man. I think, you know, I've seen people excited about the BMF title. I've seen people not, you know, trying not to curse, talking stuff about it.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah, talking shit about it. It is what it is. To me, if you look at our track record, look at Justin's history, look at my history, I mean, it just makes sense. You know, it just makes sense to me.
No, I agree. I mean, I tweeted out when they announced it, like 24 fight night bonuses between the two of you. I think you have 13, he has 11, something like that. So, like, what more could you ask for a recipe for a fight like this? I mean, I don't even think Jorge and Nate had that level of kind of statistics attached to it.
Right, and there's all the fight of the year contenders we've been in since, you know, he has ones coming from other organizations into the UFC fight of the year contenders. I have a bunch on the you know that were voted on. So it just makes sense. This is going to be a great fight.
Yeah, and you've probably seen that BMF belt like a million times. I'm pretty sure it's in the trophy case at American Top Team when you walk through the front doors, right? So, like,
Yeah.
did it even ever cross your mind, like, hey, maybe one day that'll come back around, or do you always think it was just going to sit in that case?
Yeah, it never crossed my mind that I would be fighting for a BMF belt, but it's awesome, man. I'd love to hang that up in my living room.
Yeah, and the thing Justin said about like kind of the upside of it, right, is like there's, you know, pay-per-view points. I think he said the quote was like the UFC threw a bone here, and they don't throw bones very often to the fighters in terms of like giving them more financial upside with pay-per-view points and all that kind of stuff. Do you have a similar perspective on that and like what, you know, people, I think he said it's kind of stupid, but he explained the very positive side of it. Do you kind of fall in line with that thinking as well?
I mean, I have a great contract. Me and the UFC are in a great spot. I'm not a guy complaining about fighter pay. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at and everything I'm accomplished in the sport. You know, UFC has given me good opportunities, and I've been through so many contracts with the company. You know, my first fight in the UFC was New Year's Day of 2011. So I had to grind my way up, you know, to where I'm at now, and I don't think the BMF belt's stupid, man. I like it, and it's gonna get wrapped around my waist.
Yeah. And is that something, you know, a few people being like, are they going to defend it? Because now they've shown they're going to bring it back and they can put it in different weight classes and stuff. I think Daniel Cormier said, like, these are the two guys that should be defending it. Is that something you would like to do going forward? Or is it always going to be like a similar thing like this? It needs to be the right fight, the right timing, that kind of stuff.
I have no clue, honestly. I don't look that far about defending it. I just need to get my hands on it. That's the main goal. But we'll see. I don't think it would be a bad idea to maybe have one in each weight class if there are guys capable of fighting for it. You know, when you have two guys like me and you, Justin, like me and you just talked about our track record, it makes sense and it's fun, you know?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, you're putting it right up there with the interim belt on your wall and everything, but still the goal, I imagine, is the undisputed title, right, above all. So has they mentioned anything about like what the stakes are here? Because obviously, you know, we have Charles and Beneil fighting next weekend in Vancouver, and then it seems like, you know, someone is going to fight Islam in Abu Dhabi in October. Do you think there's a chance depending on how that fight goes, you could maybe jump in front of that, or what are you kind of thinking in terms of how the lightweight picture shakes out?
I think the winner of this fight with me and Gaethje is next in line after the winner of Charles and Beneil. You know, we can't deny Beneil. If he goes out there, gets his hand raised, come on, the guy's done so much. He deserves to get a crack at that belt. But that's my goal, man, is to have all the belts. You know, I'd have an interim belt, a BMF belt, undisputed belt. Let's go.
I love that. But I guess the only potential downfall of that would be like timing, right? If they fight in October, who knows when they turn around next year? Like, are you okay with only fighting once this year?
I mean, I think I'd like to be active. We'll see what happens. It just depends the opportunities and the landscape, how this next fights go. But next fights, I mean, my fight and Beneil and Charles.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I don't know, man. You know, I only fought once last year. I'd like to get to be more active for sure. We'll just take it one fight at a time, though.
Yeah. And a few things I wanted to ask you about before you leave. You did the desk analyst work for the UFC for the first time not that long ago. What was that experience like for you, kind of going through that, doing the television stuff, all the prep work that comes with doing something like that? How did you feel about your performance on the desk?
I enjoyed it, man. I actually really enjoyed it. I had fun. I didn't know, you know, what to expect from it going into it. But then when I got there in front of the cameras, behind the scenes, it's the same people I've been working with for 10 years, you know, the same familiar faces, just a little bit more relaxed because this time I wasn't going to battle. So I enjoyed it.
What was for me. Yeah, what did you take away from like the reaction? Like, did you have any fighters being like, bro, like, why'd you say this about me, not about me? That's what you hear some of the times from like the commentators and the analysts, or was there, you know, not that much to speak of?
I'm sure there was that, but I didn't hear about it.
Yeah. Do you are you expecting to do that again in the near future, or what's kind of the update there?
Yeah, if they give me another opportunity, I'll definitely do it for sure.
Yeah. Well, since you're kind of in the mindset of breaking down fights, how do you think that fight next weekend goes with Beneil and Charles? What do you kind of each guy need to do to win, in your opinion?
Charles, you know, he went on that streak, right, where he really showed resilience and he was a world champion. I think if he fights like he was in those fights when he fought me, when he fought Justin, that he's going to beat. I think he beats Beneil. But if he goes in there second guessing himself or fighting like he did against Islam, you know, Beneil is going to beat him. It's a coin toss to me. It just depends what Charles shows up.
Yeah, and obviously the other big fight kind of involving people in your division, Conor and Michael Chandler. I know you spoke a little bit about it with Ariel Helwani, kind of saying if Conor's the same guy pre-injury who shows up, he should win. But if you're Chandler, I mean, what do you kind of do? Like, what's your mindset going into that fight? Like, he's coming off such a big injury. Is that something, if you were in his position, like, do you look to attack that, test it, and make him move around a lot and try to attack the leg? Like, should that be a big portion of his game plan?
It's going to be tough to do being a, you know, open stance, him being orthodox and Conor being southpaw. To calf kick or get around that ankle is going to be tough. He's going to have to switch kick or switch stance, and that might get him in trouble as well. And I'm sure this long of a layoff and the team Conor has around him, he's going to go in there recovered. You know, it's just if the timing and the want to be in there is still there, like he's saying it is, but we got to see it. We got to see it in action. And I think if he is, like I said before, similar to the guy he was, I think he stops Chandler. And you know, every time Chandler fights, I'm going to watch because it's always crazy. But I think Conor beats him.
Yeah. Do you take it? Go ahead.
I think Chandler needs to wrestle early, slow Conor's arms down, you know, see if he can get some blood in those arms, make him a little slower, and then take his chances.
Yeah, you know, everyone says about Chandler, they're just like, man, if he fights smart, it's the way to go. But I know, like, this moment, the lights are so bright. This is going to be such a big fight. It's kind of hard to shed that mentality of just being the action fighter to a degree. But if you're going to do it, this seems like the right one to be smart in.
It's the big one. It's the big one for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. So what does the rest of training camp look like for you? Are you working with the similar people as you did for the first time with Justin? Do you bring in different people for different looks? Like, how would you say it's structured this time?
Same coaches for sure. Same team. Mike Brown, Dai Davis, Thiago Alves. First, when sparring kicks up here in a few weeks, we'll bring in guys who are big punchers, durable guys who have similar movements to Gaethje. but we haven't started breaking that down and lining up sparring partners yet. But it's the same team for sure, man.
Yeah, and I know you've been asked a little bit about the elevation in Salt Lake before. I know Justin's training in Denver, which is, even higher elevation. Is that like kind of an inherent maybe advantage for him? Is there something you can do to equal that out, or do you just throw it out the window entirely?
I'm going to go there 8 or 9 days in advance, but I'm also going to sleep this whole training camp at altitude. Higher Peak is sending me a full tent for my bed. So every night I'm going to do at least 8 hours at altitude. I can set it to what altitude I want. Every week I'm going to slowly build up. And that's it. These altitude tents, I know like triathletes and a lot of people have been using them and had good results with it. So I'm gonna just do that and push hard in camp and show up in shape, and it'll be all right.
Yeah, the technology at this point is crazy. There's a lot of ways to like even that stuff. Have you ever slept in one of those things before, or would this be the first time?
No, this is the first time.
Interesting.
First time. Yeah, I get it this week, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess just last thing, how do you envision this going? I know you're prepared for war and everything, but ideal scenario, like, do you stop him quicker than last time? Do you like want to have it look different, or do you want to beat him in a similar fashion? Like, what's kind of the dream scenario when you go to bed at night and think about this fight?
Is the dream scenario is being clean, making him miss, counter punching, keep him guessing, use my footwork, use my jab. Do everything that he's showing improvements in, but do it better. I can stop Justin on the feet, and I truly believe I can submit him as well.
Yeah, we might jump for a Gilly in this fight.
Oh, bro, if he changes levels, the Gilly is a guarantee.
Yeah, you want that bad, right? Like you can't retire before getting another one of those finishes, right?
Dude, I gotta get a guillotine at some point.
It'll happen in time. All right, Dustin, I appreciate the time. It's always good chatting with you, and have a good next couple months of camp here, and we will see you out in Salt Lake City. This card is absolutely ridiculous, and as I said at the top, tickets are on sale now, so make sure everyone goes and scoops those up.
Let's go.